The system now, you use your voice to create the network, to create the opportunity. But you can't have it any other way. You can't have the opportunity, create your network to find your voice. So you just gotta, it's a doing thing.
Yeah.
And this is the hard bit. We gotta do it.
Welcome everyone to the We Are Ōtara Podcast. Today I think it honestly should be an annual thing when it comes to this fella coming in, but I call him a pioneer, a founder of We Are Ōtara Podcast, just podcasts in general in this area. Once again, welcome back, Will Fleming.
Dude, thank you for having me. Little clap from the room here.
Oh,
yeah. Some finger clicks.
Are you sure it's finger clicks or it's just like money? Money.
Well, my son is here, so
it
could be money.
No, fair enough. I love that. I love that.
It's great to be back, Vinny. Great to be back in the hot seat, in the studio that has hosted over 80 podcasts.
80 podcasts.
This is, we need a ticket tech parade. We need to floats.
Yep.
We need
just a gigantic float off my head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just you.
The pink hair with the curls and everything. Yeah,
can you edit some of that in from when you had pink hair?
That was just my rebellious phase, Dad. Oh my God. Just I mean, look, I was experimenting at the time. I just didn't find myself, but now I got a good haircut and a good barber. Hopefully I can be able to hold on to this one this time. But besides that, you mentioned the fact that we started this nearly like legitimately 4 or 5 years now.
Yep. Yeah, the dream was to have a space where there was a group of people interested in trying to hold on to the knowledge locally here in Ōtara. And that wasn't really happening. I mean, our books and libraries have information, but I don't know about you. Last time I checked, people aren't looking for information in books. They're looking for information in videos and TikToks and recordings.
Yeah.
And so the dream was to have a place and a space where our knowledge holders, people like Saleh, people like Judy, can be, sharing some of that knowledge so that people like us can go back and listen to it. It really buzzes me out to think that some of these recordings will be listened to in 50 years from now, 100 years from now. Think about some of the chats we've had. We've had chats with people in here about how the lakes used to be clean.
That's right,
how they would fish.
Yep.
How they would jump in the water, and now it's a dumping ground.
Yep.
For our big, silly corporate.
Yep.
Who use this space and place for their rubbish, and it's gross. And I hope one day this will be a historical archive about these times before and these times now, and hopefully in the future.
Well, I mean, we only just started. Like, I'm going to go back like way, way, way back to being such a formative podcast where something scary started in order for us to get into that podcast, and that was COVID. And now we're out of that sort of that red line, and where we're able to freely just go for the things that we need to go for. And we saw a need, like you mentioned, was archiving those stories. And it's been a journey and a half, and technically we've done over 100 if you think about it. So we have technically 4 or 5 other additional podcasts, and that makes it up to 130 up altogether.
Amazing, bro. Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you remember during COVID?
Yep.
A very nervous person whose name rhymes with Shmine.
Just say Vinay. We're friends.
Whose name is Vincent.
Yeah.
Logged in, ready to have an online podcast with David Tour.
Yeah.
And I remember you just saying, "Hey, Will, I'm just going to call you for a sec." So I put my thing on mute. You put your thing on mute. And then we were talking to each other on the phone. You said, "I don't think I can do this, man." I said, "Vinny, David Tour's here. You get your butt in there, back to this call, and we're going to interview him."
Yeah.
Rolling start, Vinny, rolling start. And no one knows what we mean by rolling start, but we know by rolling start. Yep. Maybe later on we can talk about that.
No, absolutely.
Hang up now. Get your butt back in the house, Vin. So we hung up and we unmuted and we said, okay, everyone, time for a record. And then we pushed record and Vinny started the rolling start. So, David, how's your day been? Oh, it's been awesome, bro. What about yours? Yeah. And this began the connection. Yeah. Next thing you know, David Tua's giving you a round of applause at the end. Yep. And what did he say to you? What his catch line?
Oh, he gave me the "oh for awesome" at the end of it.
Oh for awesome, man.
But during that, I was still panicking. But a good friend of mine, I don't know, Phil Fleming, basically goes, "Bro, did you hear what he was saying?" And so when he left, and then we were once again, it was just only us two. It's like, bro, did you not hear what he just said? And I'm like, nah, bro, I didn't, because I'm lost in my own head. And he goes, well, he said, oh, for awesome. You should take that as a privilege. And I'm like, absolutely. Now I can take that as a privilege.
Absolutely. And this is the privilege of podcasting.
Yeah.
That you didn't know what was going to happen, but you turned up and you gave it a go and you knew you could do it. And look, 130 podcasts later, you're still on the mic telling those stories, championing our communities in the shadows, right?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Now, we've heard about Will in AA's setting. Let's dial that back a little bit further. Let's go back to like the humble beginnings of Will Fleming, because we don't really hear about that Will Fleming, because that Will Fleming legitimately started my journey towards doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing. So let's start with your journey of how did you get into media? What got you started? Because I know that you mentioned that you've been a rugby player, and that's an amazing story. But I want to know Will the media journey. So Will the journeyman that's going through media. What got you there?
I mean, to go way back, Vinny, you mentioned Little Will.
Yeah.
And I still really feel like Little Will. That spirit in me was never broken.
Right.
I think we turn into big versions of ourselves when people force us to.
Yeah.
And if we're lucky in life, and I've been very lucky, and I will certainly say that my story is not the story of everyone, but it could be the story of people going forward, which is if you have an environment which keeps you safe, if you are allowed to explore who you are inside and outside the constraints of what's expected of you, then you will grow into a bigger version of yourself, but you will still have your beautiful thinking, your naive thinking. I've tried to never lose that. And I think what happened for me is I was allowed to just be young. When I'm older, I've had some challenges, but we all have challenges, but I've had challenges as an adult. So I think the need is more than ever to keep our young people safe, you know. The need in our communities that struggle is to try our best to keep our young people safe. And one of the ways we can keep our young people safe is just by giving them ways to share their thoughts out loud.
Yep.
I know this sounds like mumbo jumbo and no one really thinks it's real, but
not. Yeah.
Vinny, you've talked about this in the past too. If we hold our thoughts in and they don't get out, they stay in us.
Yep.
And if we hold our traumas in and they don't get out, they stay in us and they come out, just not on your terms.
No.
They come out on their own terms.
Absolutely.
And so I understand we might not be able to put everything in place to make life harmonious, but we need to try our best. You know, that's all we can do. So that was my story. Where it was interesting for me, Vin, is I was that kid in class who didn't know what the teacher was writing. I had dyslexia, but I didn't know it. In the 80s, they didn't really tell you had dyslexia. They just called you a little bit dumb, or he's a little bit slow, or he needs a little bit of extra teaching time.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I couldn't understand what was happening on the board. I didn't know why I couldn't pick up the book and enjoy the reading. You know, my dad, ironically, he's a massive reader. He reads 2 to 3 novels a week. He has done for all of his life. And so I'd try and simulate that. I'd go to the library with him, but I'd get the book and I'd open it up and it looked like the most boring thing I've ever seen. And I'd read a couple words and then my mind would start thinking about Superman and wonder when he's going to make another movie and all these stories.
That's
and then I'd try and go back to the word, and every time I went back to the word would move, and I'd just be like, in the end I just shut the book and I thought about thoughts. And what was happening is I had to find another way to communicate. I couldn't communicate through the written word or the, the poetry or the things that, our Western world operate by. So I had to communicate through the one vehicle I could, which is speaking. And that was confusing for me. I was somebody who needed to ask you what was going on. If you were my friend in class, I'd be like, hey, Vinny, what does it say on the board? Yeah. And you'd be like, it's talking about, algebra. And I was like, what's algebra? And you'd be like, oh, I don't know. but the teacher would say, be quiet. Well, Vinny, be quiet. And so I'd be carrying that weight. Damn, I'm getting in trouble now. Yeah. But I'm just trying to
understand, right?
And so that was my world. And I coped with it. I coped by finding shorter ways to get information. And I tell you, that's the strange thing about life. The things you don't like about your situation, you build other skills. So guess where that skill is amazing today? I talk to AI. I prompt AI. Yeah. And I prompt it in the most short, efficient way to do exactly what I want. Because I had years of kindly prompting my friends. Yeah. Bro, can you quickly tell me what that is in a summary of 5 key bullet points? Yeah. Can you quickly explain that in a different way using different languages? And this is how I now talk to AI. So that's the story of me being young. Remember, what I had that a lot of people don't have, but we should all aim for, is a loving environment. So I felt dumb at school, but I felt loved at home.
That's right.
And so I think that's why I'm okay.
Okay.
Because I knew where I belonged. Okay. And I continued on. I was a visual person. So when I was ready to look at the world, I said, what are my options? When I was ready to, go out to the world, Lord of the Rings was being made. And everyone said, movies are the next thing. So I said, awesome, that's what I'll do. I didn't go into movies, but I went into TV. Yeah. And I did more visual things, learning how to record, learning how to edit. Fun fact, the person sitting behind the producing gear today, his name's Daniel. And he's the one that taught me how to edit on an Avid, which if you come from TV, Avid is the way you edit. Yeah, these days we're right. Premiere, we're DaVinci, yeah. But in television and film it was Avid. And I didn't know how to edit on Avid. Oh. So they booked me time in with Daniel. And since that relationship, over a decade ago, we've kept in touch. And this is the other amazing thing about life. You never know who's going to
bump into,
who's going to be your champion, and you can be their champion.
Yeah,
and that's the beautiful thing. And so, TV's been important to me, but I didn't like parts of it. I didn't like that we were making all this stuff, and I felt like, what are we making half of it for?
Yeah,
I don't understand why we're asking people to watch another reality TV show.
Yeah,
I don't understand why when our bosses say, "Don't worry, everyone, no one's going to turn the camera on themselves." Like, are they so far up their butt they're not watching YouTube?
Yeah.
What did they think was happening? The world was changing.
Yeah.
Blockbuster showed us that if you don't adapt, you die.
Yep.
And I just guess I didn't want to die in that machine.
Yep.
So I started looking for ways to get out. But that gives you a quick history of, the adaptability that I needed as a kid to navigate through the world, and that naivety and hope that I still have that we can all find our place in the world.
No, absolutely, and I still feel like you're still adapting 100%. At your age at this point, because also the digital media at the moment is also changing at this point. I want to go back to, like, you discussed movies and television, and if you think about what was previously seen as the wonder things, because if we want to wheel back a little bit, radio was the time. People were like, oh my god, let's go and listen to the radio halls. We go to radio halls and listen, and then someone had the bright mind and go, let's add pictures to these audio, and now we've got picture shows. And then once we go through picture shows, we go through motion pictures, so movies. And then through that, let's compact it. Let's go back into making it into a television form. And then we got television. Mm-hmm. And now we're already going through that renaissance, going into from long media to short media, so 30-second clips to a minute. That is like a huge burst of entertainment and whatnot. But then we got amazing people like yourself who are now utilizing that mega box that is known as media and making it available for everyone to learn about it. I want to know, what was your thought process going through building DigiCore and now what you're doing at the moment and going into schools and bringing that valuable not only digital media knowledge but also digital safety, because these kids are going out there not knowing how to record these safely and not realizing that there is scarier parts to it.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, most media is unsafe.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to put yourself out there is relatively unsafe. Now, does that mean you shouldn't do it? No. Plenty of people are influencers. But I don't believe that as a young person to find validation should be online. And remember, I was part of that machine that, the news at night needs a story. So they don't quite look at you as a person, they look at you as a story.
Yeah.
And if you're the person who's in their darkest day, you might have the camera and mic on you. And that's one way to use it, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think that most likely in those moments what you need is your family. You need yourself. Am I wrong here? Is the question you need to ask.
Yeah.
And you need to go on that journey, probably not a public journey. So I've been thinking about that. And that's my beef with podcasting too. For years I podcasted with the idea that, hey, maybe I can be Joe Rogan. Maybe I can get things out there. Maybe I can get a massive audience and that can sustain for my family. But I didn't really believe that, Vinny. That was just something that was the vehicle to do that.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, what if we could record and we didn't need to put it out there? How would you get validation from that? So I looked at schools and I thought, can you even get credits in high school for speaking? And the truth is you can, but you need to jump over hoops.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so there was no way to actually get credits by speaking. And I can go on for hours about this topic. But to answer your question, I want a way where you can find validation within our spoken word, our podcast, and not have to seek approval from strangers.
Right.
So in high school, the way it works is you still do a podcast, but the people who give you validation are the guest you interview,
Yep.
your teacher,
Yep.
and NZQA by giving you credits. And all of those validation points are positive ones for you.
Yeah.
It's not, did your podcast go viral? Does it have a good title? Link in the description and bio. Like, who gives a hell about that?
Yeah.
It's more about, did that podcast help you build your confidence?
Right.
Can you feel confident to ask the next question?
Yeah.
Can you feel confident to say no? Can you feel confident to say yes? These are really heavy questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to say no. And if you've never said no out loud before, and it's only a conversation in here, I don't know if you can say no when you need to say no.
Yeah.
But we need to know we can say yes and no because we've heard our voice, we learnt our voice, we know how we feel. And maybe the biggest one, if you need help, that's a spoken word activity.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I need help.
Yeah.
Most people would have never said that. And it gets harder in our Māori and Pacific spaces because we're proud people. We're private people. We're conservative people. We're people who have lots of taboos. So imagine trying to ask for help with that leaning on you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know, Vinny, you've been down some of those pathways.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have to unlock that little can of worms, but that can be maybe safely unlocked in your own time, another time on this podcast.
I mean, it's people don't realize that this gentleman here he helped me through those worms, and I can comfortably say that yes, I found it difficult to talk to male guests because it's always been a predominant thing where if I'm talking to a male guest, I have the presumption that the status where their mindset is that I'm being judged because of what I'm thinking or what I'm about to say. But now I can openly say it in front of no matter who the person is and no matter what the status is that I know the notion's going to be at least a conversation, and I'm taking away the blocks that are in front of me. And those blocks that are, okay, this person's like higher than me, but not realizing that, and I'm still fighting, but at the same time, that fight has lessened every time when I come to every conversation I've gone through. And it's going to the point where I'm like, this is just a guy, my dude.
Well, you're at a place now where, you know, rest in peace to your dad, but if he was still around, you could use your skills to communicate with him.
I would have, yeah.
Dad, I want to talk to you. Why, son? Because I want to know a bit more information about our family. That's a very hard thing for young Vinny to do, but communicator Vinny could build that bridge.
Yeah.
And that's our goal, right? I've only had that epiphany in the last 3 days, right? Like, that's crazy. I've been thinking about this stuff for like 5 years. But to have that epiphany that, because I've been searching for ways to explain this, you know, and I go all over the place, but the best I've got today is that finding your voice helps you build confidence to build networks, and networks create opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, when they say it's not what you know, it's who you know, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
They just happen to know somebody that you don't. But finding your voice, being confident to be able to say, hi, I'm Vince. Hi, I'm Will, allows you to meet people.
Yeah.
And one of those people you will meet, something will gel. Some opportunity will come. That is how the world works. That is how privilege works. Privileged people just know more people than you.
Yeah.
But you can do something about that. But it starts here by finding your voice. And so it's the beautifulest journey, man, just like you're talking about, to be able to talk to people. Think about the people you've had in here. Like, 80 doesn't sound much, but that's 80 different souls.
Yeah.
80 different ideas. People like Professor Collins.
Rest of soul.
Know?
Yeah.
People like, you know, we've had wrestlers in here. You've had storytellers. You've had people that work for Weta Animation.
Yep.
You've had so many types of people. You know, you've had people in the community, people out of the community.
Members of Parliament, you know.
Members of Parliament.
Yeah.
You've had people who specialise in the cleanliness of water. Yep. You've had all sorts of people. And if you didn't have this voice, you wouldn't have experienced that network, you know. So that's what I'm bringing into schools.
Yeah.
I call it podcasting, but it's so much deeper for me.
Yep.
And I guess that's a really meaningful journey for me, and something that I'm very happy to have found. I enjoyed my career in other stuff, and I do enjoy making videos, but you ask our producer Daniel, we've done it just about every type of thing. It's got to be really interesting for us to like edit it.
Yeah.
You know? And this is interesting, the pursuit of helping people find their voice.
No, absolutely. Just as of recently, I don't know if I think I've mentioned a little bit through messages and whatnot. It's just the absolute conversation that that I had with you about having my first spark, and like that was my absolute first spark. So I connected with a wrestler by the name of Aaron Hinare, and he just only. And this is where the 10,000 miles of walking. He found me through a podcast. Someone sent a podcast to him. And he was like, oh, yeah, cool. I saw your podcast and saw what you're wearing and all that. I heard that you're a New Japan fan. I want you to be part of my team. And I just thought in my brain, no joke, I thought in my will brain was like, you're going to take this opportunity, kid. And I was like, absolutely. And we had an amazing show. I took our friend Dan, over to our first show. And Dan was asking me legitimate questions. They were good questions. They weren't like, oh, it's like, why isn't New Zealand getting into wrestling? Why isn't this a bigger thing? Mm-hmm. And he asked like people who were involved in New Zealand wrestling and all that stuff, and that made me proud. The Absolutely. Sense of pride, and now I want to pursue it because it's like I had this little taste, but now I'm cautiously stepping into it. Now I'm wanting more of it. Yeah. And then it all started with you coming up to you going, hey bro, me and Judy are starting a podcast over Zoom.
Wow, that's very kind. Not really at all starting, but if it positively influences, so that, think about it like this, you needed 120 podcasts so that when that opportunity came, you could actually say yes.
Yeah.
You know? And that's kind of life. That's kind of how hard life is, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of people talk about you get an opportunity, but you're not ready for it. But you were ready for it. And so I've also, speaking about my epiphanies, which I don't even know how to spell that.
Me neither. Don't worry.
Epiphany. No. I also had another one, which was like, what's the goal of going down that? So you've got an opportunity, so you've got a network. Why find your voice? I can type to the world. I can text to the world. Well, I came to that epiphany too, that the goal in a big moment, in a big make or break moment, think about it like an opportunity or something dodgy's going on, you got to get out. Your goal is to be able to think and speak at the same time.
That's right.
But that's really hard to do.
Yep.
The harder the pressure goes on, the speak gets blocked by the think, and then the heart rate starts going up.
Yep.
And so if you can speak and think at the same time, you're on the same level as the great minds.
Yep.
So this is why confidence is important, because you want to just get out of the way of everything so you can speak and think at the same time. Wouldn't that be amazing? Imagine being in a job interview. Imagine someone offering you a great opportunity and you were able to think and speak and not be like, ooh, or, sweating.
It's the ums and ahs that kill you,
it's
right?
It's the blockage we have.
Yeah.
And it's that in harsh moments too. Hey, we want you to do this. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Not fight or flight.
No.
It's the opposite to fight or flight, which is, what is the opposite to fight or flight? Thrive to survive? Should I just make that one up?
Yeah, let's make that one up.
No, there is an opposite. Fight or flight. No, fight. That is the fight or flight. Fight or flight is the freeze. That's the panic.
Yeah.
But there's an opposite to that. Hey Siri, what's the opposite to fight or flight?
On live television, folks. On live.
Oh, rest and digest. That's actually the opposite.
Wow. No, that actually makes sense.
So think about it.
Yeah.
You rest and you digest these thoughts in your mind.
That's right.
But you digest your body. It's moving. It's doing.
Yeah.
If it's fight or flight, it's bringing the blood to the center. It's saying, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this.
It protects you, right?
That's true. So imagine it being rest and digest in these big moments.
You don't want your digestive system to burn through what you just finished.
Yeah.
So you want it to slowly process it, slowly go through everything, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm taking the opportunities. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna pull both of you in. I'm taking in everything that you mentioned. Like it got to the point where I'm like excited about this opportunity that I got, but then I got Dan who's stopping me and going, "Look, listen, it's a perfect opportunity, but you got to realize that there's a buck to that end. What happens if it doesn't happen? You can't put all your eggs into that basket." And I'm like, all right, cool. I understand what that means. That means that I have to now circumvent, make more avenues and possibilities for myself, have that backup from A to Z, and learn how to go through those, and not relying on that A being the be all end all.
That's right. And also continue your journey to find out why you're here on this earth.
Yeah.
What are you here to do? Whether that's a spiritual conversation or a evolution conversation, I think they're the same conversation. I think we're all given a superpower, and it's partly on our communities to help us feel safe enough to explore that. But then it's on you to think about that every day. Like a lot of my friends, including our man Dan, the man behind the can, is, I'll challenge him. I'll say, come on, buddy, what is it, the thing that you're here to do? And we do talk very general. I'm here to love people. I'm here to help people. And I'm like, zoom in, do what we do on the iPad. Zoom in a bit more. What do you mean exactly? And I'm not perfect in this, but I am feeling like I'm getting closer to my area. I know that if you work with me, that I will show you how to build confidence using your voice, and I will do that by you interacting with me. And if I can get credits for you, that will help you make it sense at home, make it make sense for your schooling career. And if you can take those things out to the world, you have at least a shot. That's all we want, is a shot. And I challenge you and Marlon and Dan and all of us to be like, always thinking, what are we here for? If we're this little ball in the middle of nowhere, and we're all given this a little bit of the universe in us, then what is my bit to shine?
Yeah.
You know, and I really hope that you have that epiphany for you. One day you wake up and you're like, well, I've got it. I can say it exactly in the shortest way possible where it makes the most sense.
I had that moment. I legitimately had that moment. And I shared that moment with Dan. And that moment was that I wanted to pursue wrestling in a podcast. Because I recently just interviewed Jake Sheehan. And Jake Sheehan gave me the most, hardest fact, which is we do not have a proper wrestling podcast that is out there in New Zealand to call our own. We legitimately follow other wrestling podcasts that are in America. And it goes back to what Dan originally had stated when we first go to our first show, which is what's stopping us from making New Zealand wrestling legitimate. And I love doing this to him, and I did this to him, and I gave him a history background. Did you know that a beautiful promoter by the name of High Chief Peter Maivia used to stop here in New Zealand, and he had a home in Glen Innes? He brought a famous young boy who only stayed here for a year and then went back to Hawaii to do his education. Did you know that? Do you want to say his name out to the crowd?
Does it rhyme with Schmwayne?
Oh, yeah, Schmwayne.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, bro.
The Rock.
Yep. And New Zealand back in the 70s to 80s had a strong wrestling background to the point that you had Ric Flair coming to New Zealand to wrestle. I want those roots back to New Zealand wrestling, where we can be proud to have not only American wrestling, but Mexican wrestling, Japanese wrestling. And we go through those dojos, like our big talk that we had with Tox Farley, Aaron Hennard that's going up there, Jake Sheehan as well with IPW and all that. And our good friend Guy Picton, that's my dream. I want that because now I've tasted it. I've seen it.
You know the system now. You use your voice to create the network, to create the opportunity. But you can't have it any other way. You can't have the opportunity, create your network, to find your voice. So you just got to, it's a doing thing.
Yeah.
And this is the hard bit. We've got to do it. You know, and you'll hear that from lots of your mentors. Time for talk is over. Time for do is do.
Yep.
You know, so that should be the goal now, is how do you be clever with your networks that you have and community and funding to get those influences together, to get the podcast rolling, to make it a big thing.
Yep.
You know, and I think that that is a fair pursuit. So congratulations. Okay, Daniel, over to you. No, just joking. Just joking. We'll do that off camera.
And over to Dan for weather. Let's start coming back down to wrap up and whatnot. I like to go back down to just to brass tacks, and always with me. I'm starting up new things. So I used to always ask quotes and whatnot, but you're just a man full of wisdom. But first things first. Plug yourself towards the people.
Oh, man.
Like legitimately.
Listen, I get plugged a lot. And
yeah, but that comes with you going on to LinkedIn and going, Akire, this is what we were doing.
That's
I'm
right.
doing all the cool stuff.
I make it my business to go and meet people, and because of podcasting, because of finding my voice, I can go outside of my bubble. It's what I tell everyone. Podcasting is a hierarchy-free zone, culturally, socially, and all the other leads, to be able to meet anyone you want. You can start a podcast, you can do it on Zoom. You know, you don't have to have all the gear.
No.
You just got to have something to say. So I get around, and I'm full of epiphanies today, aren't I? I also realized I ain't doing marketing.
No, you're not.
I'm just going to go and market myself to you in person. And you're not going to see me running Google Ads.
No.
I'm not going to boost anything anymore.
No,
and I'm not even
not.
going to learn SEO. Now, that's strategically probably wrong from an entrepreneurial perspective, but I don't like it. And what I like is the marketing of, if someone asks Vinny about me, Vinny's got nice things to say.
No, absolutely.
That's a boosted post, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, if I go and meet 6 people and they talk to 6 people, that's how you boost your posts.
Yeah.
And actually, I like that because I'm still investing, just like if I was investing in Google. Now, I will say, when I get what I want, which is a nice contract with the Ministry of Education, I will hire a CEO and I expect them to know how to do marketing.
Yeah.
I don't care if they do marketing by boosting, but I will always say we need to market ourselves in person to people.
Yeah.
You know, B2B, the idea of business to business.
That's right.
I'm drawing a red line through that. Your mate Will was into P2P.
People to people.
People to people.
Dan,
Podcast
get your
to
head out of the
podcast.
gutter.
Not pee on me.
Hey.
And not PP. And not the bad P.
No.
I'm talking about people to people. Podcast to podcast. Person to person.
And then with that said, let's take it from a different approach.
Yes.
Instead of plugging yourself, let the people know. Because let's be honest to ourselves. There are over 100,000 people who are out there that don't know what things that you can do. Let's bring into light what you can bring and what that future would look like for those who are looking within this episode. Because yes, we can say podcast, but there is more to it, like you said earlier about it. That word podcast is more than anything. And if any child or adult that are looking into this, looking into Will Fleming, those words that you're about to say in the next few minutes are that vital. And I remember you saying that.
Okay, Dan, have we got a shot on here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Find that person to person.
Thank you. This is me talking to you, as Vinny asked me to do. I'm not asking anything. Most people right here will say, follow this, follow that. I'm not saying follow anything except your voice. Find your voice. The power of being able to get out what's in here and here to the world is way more important than we think. You know, I talked about my story, not being able to navigate reading or writing, but being able to navigate speaking. It's put me in the best position to be able to have great mental health because I do therapy all day by speaking to my friends, to my colleagues, to my hopes and dreams. And my hope for you is that you'll find your bravery to find your voice, to know the importance of getting out what you're holding inside. Many of us come from families and communities and cultures which encourage this humble way of quiet, holding things in. Our best mental health experts will say this is not a good system. This will take us down a dark journey of holding things in. Guess what? It'll come out. It will come out. Your words will come out, but if you suppress them, they will come out violently. So my hope for you is you can find someone like I found Vinny, like he's found me, to talk to get ideas out of here. If you can find your voice, if you can share that, if you can build your network, the world is beautiful. If you hold it in, the world is a harsh and scary place. I wish you luck. Find your voice. That was the reaction I wanted, like a wrestling one.
Yeah. But thank you, Dan. I'm just lost for words. And it's exactly how I first met you when we met in C Block in MIT. Is I'm lost for words that you took a chance on me, and now you're taking the chance over 100,000 people who are in Ōtara, who now heard those words, and hopefully, and we don't know what would happen because we're not predictors, we're not fortune tellers. We just hope that they take those words to heart, and hopefully it unlocks a potential within them. Otherwise, they got their ways to do it.
Last question to you. What does it feel like doing over 80 podcasts for the We Are Ōtara podcast?
You want my Vinay answer or you want my Vince answer?
I only talk to Vince.
You only talk to Vince?
Vinay is the dude in the shadows who whinges away. Vince is my guy who gets up, who is speaking and thinking at the same time.
Camera guy, get me right here.
He wants his single.
Camera guy, right here. Right here. You got me? Cool.
Hold the mic.
Oh, no, bro. I don't hold my own mic. I'll have okay. All jokes aside, over the past 4 years, I've come across so many people's lives at this point. Like a wrestler, like a good storyteller, you're always going to come across those people. I'm going to take the words from Dusty Rhodes, hoping that my hand touches your hand, and hoping that hard times is only just a phase. It comes and go, and that means that you lift yourself up like the blue collar person that you are, and you work through and you work for the best for your family, because hard times, baby, only comes and goes. So the 80 guests that I've come across who've shared their stories with me, all I got to say is thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life, a part of your day-to-day, and taking those shoes and walking your 10,000 miles. Yeah.
What a sun stealer.
Hey, what do you mean?
I thought we could end on my thing and then Vinny comes along with Dusty Rhodes. I want to do mine again. Like the great Rock once said, if you smell. Shot, Vinny. Great to have me back on, brother. Thank you for the invite.
Always. It's always a pleasure, and just I'm going to say this right now. I wish you nothing but the best in the world. I wish that you do, not only you get that contract, but my dream for you is for that your influence goes further than just Auckland's boundaries. You go further into New Zealand, and my challenge to you is to continue to be that beacon of light for people, because bro, you know how dark it gets. So please continue to be that beacon.
And doing it.
Always in, brother. Always in.
Sure. Thank you, Dan, for recording. Thank you, Accelerating Aotearoa, for the space and the place for us to share.
No, absolutely. And then before we even wrap up or anything, I just wanted to say to those families out there, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you believe in. I hope that God is good to you as he's been good to me. That's a line that was been shared, that every time when Don Rickles would end off, he will roast people, but he always comes back to the level of everyone's is equal. So yeah, once again, I hope God is good to you as he's been good to me. I hope he takes care of your families as well as everyone else, your friends. So God bless.
Amen.
And once again, thank you so much for watching.
There's just one more thing from Dusty Rhodes. So
I'm going to say my catchphrase. Am I allowed to say my catchphrase? And then once again, cut. I can't even say my...
You know, Martin Luther King once said...
I agree.
This guy bringing out all the big guns. So according to Neil Armstrong...
Once again, thank you so much for watching. Can I get through my catchphrase? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.